ahead. Hello, sir. How you doing?
I thought you were delaying. I thought you were delaying there. Like, just
Oh, wow.
music.
Wow.
Took us
As
a while.
soon as we click in, you start freaking
Wow.
out. Talking with no issues whatsoever before, and as soon as
Oh,
we
really?
loaded,
I'm having.
yeah, you froze up on the video. You went all crackly. No problems. As soon as I click on over, can you believe it? There's just always something. There you are. Now I can see you.
You can see me now.
Yeah. Oh, and we're back to being crackly.
My connection is. That's so weird.
Yeah. Oh dear. Oh hey, you know what? It seems to be behaving itself. We're gonna try our best, Jeff. Worst comes to worst, people have a nice, relaxing time.
Here, let me. How am I doing right now?
Yeah. Now you're crystal clear.
Am I?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Let me know if it starts messing up. Because my connection speed over here is just fine. I'm not sure what's going on.
It's just being a dick. It's never a thing unless there's a problem. You spend lots of money on equipment, hoping to speed things up, and then it surprises you with an oopsie. It's just how it works. Just how it works. But anyways, my man, good to see you. I swear to God, your beard gets longer every time I see you.
That's how it works.
Some of us it takes a little while.
Yeah, this one I'll think, it could go a little longer than like a week later. It's just
gonna tie it into your belt. I know you will.
Yeah, it's growing fairly nicely this time, so I think it's kind of snuck up on me. It's not going haywire or anything. I'm using the boar hair brush and putting some beard oil into it, making it all. So it's like nice.
Yeah, looking after it, man. Ain't nothing wrong with a little beard grooming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have to get the full Jesus on in time for like Easter or something. I don't
know. That's true. Just put on a little white robe, go walking around, being like, my son, my son, my son.
I actually got one I'd never gotten before. I don't know if you know the actor, but I got a You Look Like Donald Logue.
Okay.
Which I thought was awesome. I was like, I get that. Yeah. Yeah, because he does he has kind of this length hair a lot of times and does the beard, and I've got some red in there, not as much as he does, but it's like, you know what, I'm okay with that. It's a good actor.
Actually, yeah. I mean, what has he done poorly?
Nothing I can recall.
Yeah, I don't remember ever having like a negative effect about
him. No, Terriers was great, even though it got canceled.
It did. Yeah.
He was good on Sons of Anarchy. He's a great actor. No. Other things that I know, but I can't remember right now.
Yeah, I'm sure he was in that that medieval thing. What was it called? King's Horizon. He was in Vikings. I know he was in Vikings for a bit.
Oh, he's in Vikings, really? Huh?
Yeah. I think he was one of the later seasons. He came in as one of the kings. I didn't really get into Vikings as much as I wanted, to be honest. I just don't have time anymore.
I've heard it's really good. My parents like it.
Yeah.
It's on my to watch list, and I think it ended not that long ago. 6 seasons.
Hey, 6 seasons is a solid run.
That was pretty good, yeah.
Yeah, fucking good for them.
Although they have another series, a spin-off series called Valhalla coming out.
Oh, they do?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay, great. I mean, spin-offs and prequels, that's what's happening, man.
Yeah.
We got House of Dragons coming out, which is apparently people are loving it. People are saying, a few people watched the first episode. Good old Grimm himself saw it, and he said if they keep it up to this, it's going to be a great series.
Yeah, I mean, Game of Thrones started off pretty good, just didn't end that way.
Yeah, exactly that.
So anyway,
how you doing? Anyway, doing good. Nice and busy. Really enjoying some of the most recent episodes we've been doing.
Yeah, we got some good stuff. It suddenly got like really dark again. Like there was a moment kind of lilted up just a little bit.
Yeah.
There were some big moments and stuff specifically for Borla with the Giants and everything, but we kind of get back into East Haven and things just take like a turn of oh shit. So
yeah. It's things that have been brewing for a while.
Yeah. I will say it was one of those where I feel, and it happens, I think, in a lot of groups, where it's just like, man, I feel kind of aimless. Like, what do we do? Everything seems so much bigger than us. We don't even know how to approach anything. And then it all kind of came to a point of, oh, so that's something we got to deal with.
Yep.
Yeah.
There's a lot inside the book that's like that. It's very much about isolating the player, and I mean, because it's the biggest antagonist for the most part is a god, and how she's affecting everything else. So there's always that sort of looming powerlessness that kind of comes up, and I mean, it's a brilliant source book. It really is. It's very cool.
It's interesting when you have to introduce kind of the big bad so early to a point that they're just unreachably dangerous.
Yeah.
That they're like, there's no way we could ever fight that thing. I have 7 hit points, you know. And it's not like this is alone in that though, because even Strahd gets introduced early on in that module.
So.
But I will say the one difference is with Frost Maiden, at least not that we've found out, it's not like, hey, there's her castle right there. Whereas with Strahd, it's like always kind of looming there.
Yeah. It's always
like, we could just go knock on the door and try and fight him, but you're too scared to do it.
Yeah, of course, sure.
Whereas the Frost Maiden seems very out of reach, I suppose.
Yeah. Well, who knows? Who knows what you got
So far. We keep finding out new things about her.
That's very true.
Maybe she needs... Maybe, you know what? She is the most powerful. We'll just side with her.
Who knows? Who knows? See what happens. Everyone becomes paladins under the...
Yeah, there you go. Bunch of... Oathbreaker paladins or something, or paladins of vengeance, or you know, whatever works. Yeah, conquest. There you go, conquest. That's a good.
I think the Oath of Conquest. That's a perfect
email. Yeah.
No.
That's a tough one to play as a lawful character, but you can make it happen.
Yeah, I mean, everyone who's conquered something most of the time believes that they're doing something good.
Right.
Yeah.
Also makes for some of the best bad guys, the ones that think they're doing the correct thing.
Yeah. I mean, Gabe's character's dad.
Yeah.
He was an Oath Conquest paladin. Like.
Oh, was he? Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah. He had like Divine Smite. He had like that challenging thing that he did with you to lock you two in a fight.
Oh yeah.
Just so I could get rid of that.
That's good stuff.
Fucking barbarian taking all the damage.
I still think back on that episode, and that was a really, really, really good episode. All that.
It was one of my favorites too, and one of the ones I've been looking forward to the most, honestly. Like, no.
Oh, it was intense.
Yeah.
So what the hell are we talking about tonight?
Oh, so tonight, I don't know. I really enjoyed the idea of this topic because just by nature of it, it's fun. Mini games, gambling contests, etc. I don't know what comes for this.
I should look up at it. Am I looking the right way?
Yeah. Gambling? What? Yeah. So I think a great topic for how creative this game actually allows you to be and how far you can kind of take the customization of 5e, which is quite customizable by its very nature. And so I guess, I mean, we'll try to stick away from, basic things like make people roll kind of thing. And it's like, make people roll, but how are we testing this shit?
Yeah, that's going to be part of it for sure. I mean, the players love to roll, so make them roll.
Exactly.
Rolling will be part of it, but how dynamic do you want it to be? And to briefly mention it to its credit, if there's anything you want to kind of move past a little quickly just for time or whatever, not to get too inundated down with stuff. A simple roll is an easy way to kind of move through it.
Yeah.
But yeah, there are times where characters want to engage in a drinking contest or a local race or so on and so forth, and you're like, let's give it some interesting little extra detail, some dynamics.
Yeah. I don't know. Oh, sorry, what's up?
I was gonna say, I don't know, you've I guess this is your first like big campaign that you've done, but you've run a couple other things. How many mini games and things like that have you done?
Honestly, the one of the first sessions that I had with a group of 4 players, and this was like one of the first times I ever came to D&D. All of them were new as well, and so one of the ways I started introducing them to like start thinking about roles and things was through a minigame. They were sitting around. There was a few individuals playing some Light Ice, which is just one of my favorite games ever.
Light Ice is amazing.
It's great, dude. And
it's a great game.
We just got hugged. Thank you, Bedlam. Bedlam just hugged them. But yeah, so they were playing Light Ice, and the players were like, "All right, let's go." I think 2 of them watched, 2 of them competed together, and so it was kind of cool for them to be like, "All right, I understand this game, and I'm playing it in a game," so they got like immediately comfortable. But then also, I kind of relate to the point as like one of the characters rolled was a half-orc, I think, who later they actually kind of met in some other area to where they were going because he was employed by who they were meant to see. And so he rolled and he was waiting for Pierre, the player Pierre, to make a decision. And that's when I was like, so just so you know, you've got all these different skills that you can typically roll for. And he was like, oh, what's that mean? I was like, well, be honest, instead of just playing this game right now, if you were inside the situation here, do you want to stick to the rules? Do you want to try cheat? Do you want to try analyze this guy to see if what he is? And he's like, all right, well, first, can I get a read for him? I was like, hell yeah, roll insight. And he's like, oh, okay. I get what this is for, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And he rolled really high, and so he started to see little beads of sweat and a small twitch. And yeah, and then while he was doing it, one of the other players were like, can I try to steal a coin? Well, this is really tense. And I was like, absolutely. Roll the sleight of hand. And then he rolled really well. And so he like got to steal a little coin from the table without anyone noticing. And he ended up winning because he called his bluff based on the roll that he rolled. And that's how they got introduced to the game.
That's actually really fascinating. It's such and this is how I've always done it, but it's just kind of the regular thing. Is the first way you introduce them to those kind of things is typically with combat.
Yeah.
You know, it's something simple. It's goblins, it's kobolds, it's twig blights, it's whatever. It's something something small, bandits, things like that.
Giant
that they have to. Big frogs, giant rats, things like that. Those are the things that they come up against, and they start to learn the dynamics of combat. But combat dynamics are very different from outside of combat dynamics. There's things that equate, but that's actually a really good way of doing it because it can get them engaged, and they know they can learn like what I want to do this, or I would personally in real life want this to happen. So, well, this is how you would do that in game. So that's great. Yeah, I think that's fascinating.
Well, I mean, that is kind of how you got me into D&D, because you were my first DM and my first experience. Me and like 10 other people at a table. One of our players, Grayson, of which was there, and the first thing was all of us inside the tavern together, and I was like, I want to find the toughest guy. And this challenge him to an arm wrestle. And immediately from that minigame, all 10 people were so invested with 3 rolls between him and me. Everyone was like, oh shit, is Dill's gonna...
Yeah, because it's great because if you do it at levels and like it's getting here, but then you come back from it. And, Arm wrestle's a good one. That does bring up actually a good point about little games like this. Not to derail it a different direction, but with games like this, well, it's still within that realm, but I want to take you away from what you were saying. is sometimes if one person's like, yes, I want to play this mini game, I want to play cards, I want to arm wrestle, you have 4 or 5, 12 other people there that may or may not be engaged in it. So how do you make that engaging to the rest of the group?
Yeah.
And so like, even just going to that person, like, while this is going on, what are you doing? Are you watching? Are you getting a drink? You break it up a little bit between the characters.
Yeah.
One of the easiest ways is, as soon as people sit down and start playing games, side bets start. Yes. And while that person may not be like, I'm going to arm wrestle, I'm going to play cards, they might be like, well, I'll bet 5 gold on this guy or whatever. Mm-hmm. And then maybe they bet on the guy that's not their team member. So that creates a little bit of a dynamic too.
Yeah.
And yeah, throwing in someone bluffing, or not even just the players, maybe one of the NPCs is trying to cheat, like they've got a palmed card or something.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, roll
of perception. Yeah.
Players can try and cheat. I mean, they may get caught and they get kicked out of the bar and lose their money.
Start a little bob roll. Who knows?
Yeah, that one dwarf that keeps winning card games all the time, maybe they start to notice, like, that guy's cheating. He's dropping a loaded die down there or something.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh man. Honestly, I think I remember a specific game when we were getting the team together initially, and Warren and Gabe were still like active players. There was a moment where the two of them, they were playing a game of Light Eye, I think, and Gabe kind of set Warren's character up to like win. He was like, I'll make it kind of easy, and Warren just kind of screwed him over and took the cash and was like really proud of himself. And immediately Gabe's face was just like, he was like, why did I bother? Why did I even bother? And like immediately it just became a fucking beautiful relationship between the two of them.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's good stuff. It's it makes for some fun things. Maybe like what Gabe did, one of the side people does, tries to do like a little spell or tip dice or things like that, or tries to get to the other side of the bar and see the cards and signal your friend, and then they get caught and they get kicked out, or maybe they do it and you win, and maybe you don't feel bad about it, maybe you do feel bad about it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Bar games are great. There's a lot. I like to occasionally make, depending on where they are, a casino available, because there's some fun casino style games you can do that I've seen that can be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And you can, any of those bar games can still be turned into casino games anyway.
For sure.
Because at a casino you can play, 5-card draw or 7-card stud or Texas Hold'em or whatever. And it's the same thing with simple stuff in D&D. You could do that too. There's a lot of fun ones out there.
Give me one sec while I look up. How many numbers are on a roulette wheel?
Roulette, I think, goes to 36, and then the 2, the 0 and the double 0. So I think a total of 38, if I recall correctly.
38. All right.
Yeah.
Because it could just be kind of interesting to literally just roll a die and see which one you land on, and you just know where the roulette kind of rolls. Yeah,
but you could also, this is fantasy, that whoever invented roulette in the history of the earth doesn't exist in D&D, so maybe there's 20 options and you can roll a d20.
Very good point, yeah.
Or maybe add 2 other kind of, you have to double your bet and go again slots or something and roll 2 d20s, or I don't know.
Oh yeah.
Although that runs the
likely creative.
Well, I there's already an issue with that, because then you can't roll a 1 because you have 2 d20s. But again, maybe that's something too. There's no 1 on the table. But
dude, Bedlam just came up with something really cool.
Oh, pub trivia.
A version of pub trivia.
That's a great idea.
Because
you could get into certain roles with that too, like. You could ask D&D like lore trivia or creature trivia and have them roll nature checks, or have them do
Arcana, anything kind of magical, history.
Or maybe if it's something fighting related, maybe the fighter suddenly like, oh, I know that's called the this type of attack or whatever.
A bull's horn formation, any kind of
yeah,
bait and switch, whatever. Yeah,
that's kind of a fun idea.
That's actually very clever then.
You definitely have to prep for that, but generally, you're gonna have some type of notice ahead of time, unless midway through or early on in the session they're like, let's go there and do this.
Yeah.
But that would be a fun event to set up, a pub night or like a trivia night, because it's always like it's like a Tuesday or Wednesday all the time, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Always a Tuesday or Wednesday.
Tuesday trivia.
Yeah. I did Tuesday trivia for 7 years, so it's.
Oh yeah, I think I was locked into it to 3. The apartment buildings that we lived in Denver had their own little bar attached to it, and they had trivia inside it all the time, and so we were there every Tuesday. We walked there. It was fucking great.
Never lived in an apartment that had a bar attached to it. That sounds dangerous.
It was. It really was. There was some
super convenient, but also lots of money. Lots of money.
But you could always walk home. That was the best part.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. Hey, you know what? I'm within walking distance of one of your favorite spots. So.
Yeah.
I haven't walked there yet, but it will happen.
Nice.
Okay.
On the topic of mini games and rolling for things and keeping things kind of creative, there's something that I do want to bring up for a source book that I know I've noted out about on this channel quite a lot. But ever since I've gotten it and I've read through it, Strixhaven, the Curriculum of Chaos.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Storm King's Thunder. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, the one I love so much.
Yeah, you talk about it all the time.
Yeah. So Strixhaven is this really clever thing where they kind of just embraced, all right, so everyone's in a school of magic. Everyone at some point, on some level, is kind of magically inclined, and even if you come in as like a barbarian or something else, they kind of take it into it that your powers and stuff are somewhat magically linked, and then you're gaining feats from being in classes that make you magically inclined. There's a theme for it, right? And so when they come to it, it's here's a good example of it. Is that everyone's on a boat, right? And we're having this contest of like getting from one area to another, or maybe you're just on a boat, and everyone's just trying to progress it. So one of the players steps up and it's like, all right, we gotta hurry. I'm gonna navigate the boat. No one's doing it. I'm hopping on. I'm navigating the boat. What Strixhaven introduces is for the DM to go, all right, what skill do you want to use? And so the player goes, animal handling. And so the DM goes and asks, all right, how are you going to use animal handling to steer this boat? And he's like, all right, well, I'm a druid, so I'm going to wade out into the sea. I'm going to try to communicate with like a large sea animal, see if I can bring them up. And roll animal handling check, and if that's how I do it. So it's like how people want to, like, you can use Arcana for certain acrobatics checks because you're going to be bouncing off of a shield or Big B's hand. Like, there's a whole bunch of different ways that Strixhaven introduces that the players ask the DM if they could attempt to, I want to roll a history check on something because of a book I read at one point. All right, roll for it. And so like it gets the players to be really creative with the narrative of certain checks and certain games. And it's fucking incredible. I thought it was a really cool idea. I think it is kind of selective, of course. But I think if the campaign is kind of built around it, which it is, I think it's a fucking wonderful idea to keep certain mini games and things a little exciting.
Yeah. I think I'm very fortunate to have a DM before I left Texas who, this would have been well before Strixhaven came out, but had that kind of approach to like traveling or whatever, would say, what are you going to do to help travel? And you're like, I'd like to try this. So he'd say, okay, so make this type of roll. Or he would say, so you, of your skills, which one do you want to use? And be like, well, I'm really great at survival or nature or whatever. And it's like, okay, I mean, you can use that, but how?
Sure.
So you'd have to justify it yourself. Like, I want to use my survival because it's a +6. It's like, okay, well, how are you using your survival? And put the player on this. Yeah, he's like, I survival. I'm looking for the previous cart tracks to keep us in those so we're not hitting bumps and stuff or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, okay, maybe, because that's survival and footprints and cart tracks, sure. You know, as long as you can, in the moment, think of that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But then, of course, you get someone who's like, persuasion, like, okay, let's see how creative you can be with that.
Yeah. Yeah, hey, persuasion could be as good as, like, keeping morale up. Keep it organized.
Exactly.
I want to keep everybody organized. I want to ensure the communication of everyone's goals is pretty good. You can take, like, a leadership role.
Perfect example.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's actually a good idea. I might incorporate that into if you guys venture out.
No, it was that DM it was interesting. The one I talked about him briefly before, and that at that bar I would go to that had multiple DMs in there running all in the same world. Just fascinating, but just how they did it.
The synergy.
But he did everything. Theater of the mind, even battles. He'd remember where people were on the map and everything. It was wild. Wow. But he likes having those little creative things like that. And you need to, all right, you can do this, but how are you doing it? Kind of way of going about things that I thought was very interesting. And of course, I've adopted some of them I haven't, just because I don't feel confident enough to do it.
Sure. Yeah. I can fully understand. Shit, that's intimidating.
Yeah. Sometimes you just have to go for it because you don't know if you're just, scared of those things, not wanting to. Maybe bring us more specifically back to mini games and stuff. Maybe it makes you nervous running a mini game or something like that. Just, it's one of the best things to just write something down or type something out in the document, a Word document or whatever. It's just like, these are the rules, these are the roles. If this happens, roll this. Because I would say there's less the players' curveballs they can throw at you.
Sure. That's fair.
Don't get me wrong, the players will always surprise you, but I feel like with a mini game like that, there are less things that will completely take you off guard.
Yeah, 100%. Any kind of structure that you can give yourself a foundation or whatever is entirely going to help.
Oh, absolutely.
We had a great minigame experience during our campaign, our Icewind Dale campaign. When you guys met the Goliaths. You also did a drinking contest.
We did a drinking contest. Yeah, I was thinking, I feel like we haven't done a lot, and I keep thinking, we did that one and that one and that one.
Yeah.
We did the tug of war with the giants.
Yeah, there's I think 6 or 8 different mini games that you can roll for to like what the Goliaths would like to challenge you in. There's one where it's like
so it had it set up. Oh, that's fun.
Yeah. There's a tug of war. There's how far you can throw a rock. I think there's another one like rock tossing, like shot put.
Against giants or Goliaths, that's what it was.
Goliaths, yeah.
Still.
Yeah, there was one where it was kind of like a dodgeball game with stones. And so you would try and beat each other with stones. They made like a sport out of it.
Orla would have been into that. She would have been into that.
100%. Yeah, there was a few really fun different options, and they had like in detailed descriptions. And it's just kind of cool to come up with your own minigame table, which is something I would love to do for the next campaign.
Yeah, some of the source books actually have really great stuff. There's a, and I want to take a second to give credit to Wizards when they made Tomb of Annihilation, because not only is it an excellent source book and an excellent adventure, it is. There are times where it's a little like, holy shit, there's too many things going on with it, because they have like individual hexes you can visit on the map, and there's just like dozens of them, and it's wild. But it's a crazy. What's the name of the damn island? Starts with a CH. I don't remember. Anyway. Yeah. Fantastic environment, and unlike a lot of the other ones, they add in the fact that on this island, it's kind of old, it's off the beaten path, it's by itself. Dinosaurs roam all over the place here. So they have dinosaur racing.
Dinosaur racing?
And it's through the city.
What? That's incredible.
Yes. It's amazing. And it's one of the most fun I've ever had in a mini game where you're either riding on the dinosaur, you're betting on them. You can, again, like with anything, you can always add your own flair to it as a DM.
Yeah.
But putting bets over here, the dinosaurs will they roll for how fast they go, and if they hit a corner too quickly, they have to make dex saves. And you can also jockey the dinosaur quicker, make your animal handling check or whatever, and then they'll move faster. But then the dinosaur has to make a con save not to get exhausted.
Oh, there we go. And you use the dinosaur stats. That's great.
Yep, it's good stuff. And they even give you a like a 7-1 for the T-Rex, or a 2-1 for the.
That makes sense.
It wouldn't. I don't know if it'd be the T-Rex. They're relatively quick, but maybe, I don't know. They died a long time ago.
Yeah, it's hard to argue.
They look kind of fast. All I know is they're about as fast as a Jeep in the mud, because that's what Steven Spielberg taught me.
Yeah, or a big ball.
Sure.
That's what the recent one taught me.
Man.
That's cool.
I don't think I've seen the most recent one. But yeah, it's some of the actual game modules have their own mini games in them. I didn't realize that Icewind Dale had that for the Giants. That's a lot of fun.
Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, I brought it up earlier, but Strixhaven has their own school sport that they play. It's kind of like a King of the Hill called Mage Tower.
Yeah, I think you were telling me something about that at some point, yeah.
Yeah, and how it's played is that, because you're inside a house, and you're in there, like the Prismari, or like the very temperamental elemental people, or whatever. So there's 5 houses in them, and they all have their mascots, of which are small magical creatures. Like, one of them has a mathematical element. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, that's a thing. It's Strixhaven. There's one that they use, like, numerology to conjure magic. They're like
Campaign 3.
Yeah, it's incredible. Like, Strixhaven is it's fucking bizarre. I love it. But yeah, so the whole point of Mage Tower is that you have to get your mascot. So like, it's kind of like a capture the flag / territory game where you have to get your mascot to a certain area. But the mascot is a living creature, so you're just tossing this adorable fucking thing across it and using like portals to like
and do your best not to kill it.
Yeah, I think they're pretty sturdy. They're naturally like just kind of like bounce.
Oh, okay, that makes it that's even more fun, because you can just like clobber the crap out of it to get it to go. It's like I would like to punt the weasel or whatever it is.
Yeah, just send it flying. Yeah. So that's always an interesting thing, is introducing like a sport or something like that along the lines.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say there's more moving parts when it comes to a sport, but you could have a lot of fun with that.
Yeah.
Because some of the easier ones, like I've done a carnival event before, sort of, where there was a big festival going on.
Yeah.
And they had, pie eating contests, they had arm wrestling, they had sword fighting, with, blunted swords and everything.
Sure.
And, the players just ate that shit up. Sure. And I did a tarot card reader.
Nice.
And I went ahead and just made, because online you can just go, I want to roll a D22, and I just had them roll that, and I pulled the tarot cards for each the past, present, future thing, and I just kind of made stuff up. And a lot of time you have to stretch a lot. When I did it for the group that I had, it's like everything laid perfectly for them. I was like, oh, someone's betraying you right now. And yep. They drew really great things. I didn't have to be too creative as DM for those. But the tarot card thing's fun. Hell, Strahd actually makes it a mechanic of the game.
Yeah. It's brilliant.
Yeah. Which I think's interesting, because it randomizes a couple of locations of things. So that's really neat.
Yeah, and like fated bonds. Like who's your fated, your distant friend or whatever. Which was really interesting when our DM broke that down for us after we kind of met our one and sort of solidified it. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. Like, you could determine how they end up like becoming a friend, and like as a result, your current quest, but then also how you get a pissed off Strahd from the start. Which is great.
Yeah.
No.
It's not. I would just venture a guess that most parties which have played Curse of Strahd, which at this point is hundreds, thousands, blah, whatever, it's been around for a long time.
Yeah.
I would say most parties usually piss him off in their first meeting. Just the way players are.
Yeah, I think on that one he kind of liked us for a little bit until I pissed him off.
Oh.
Trying to which. Whoops! I was trying to help a poor girl.
I'm trying to think of another one that has mini games in there. I should have.
Oh, another source book.
Yeah. I know they exist in others, and there's some where they'll create. There is one that I completely took out, and I wish I hadn't, but I was concerned about mechanically doing it for a group because I was having to do it via Zoom. But in the Yawning Portal, there's actually in the Shrine of Tamowachin, I don't remember. Something that sounds vaguely Aztec. There is actually a room or a hallway where you kind of play. Again, I feel terrible not knowing the name, but that earlier versions of like basketball or soccer, where you're trying to get a kind of floating ball from one side to the other to kind of pass through this hallway.
Okay.
And I ended up creating a different encounter for that, which was more combat related.
Yeah.
But in hindsight, I kind of wish I had been in person for that moment, because I could have created the actually done the game. But it was also my own nervousness as a DM at the time, where I was like, I don't know if I can handle doing a complicated game where they're swatting at a ball back and forth with invisible ghost things.
Yeah, right.
It's like, I can do combat mostly. I'll do that instead.
There we go.
But yeah, even one like that, which is kind of a collection of short stories, even had a mini game in one of them. So.
Oh wow.
Sometimes all the source you need is what Wizards of the Coast gives you.
Yeah, I mean, shit, they're in charge of creating creative things for a fucking reason, man.
Mm-hmm.
They're bloody good at what they do.
Yeah. Arm wrestling is so good. I love that. That's such a great one. And so 100%. Many players. The players will offer that up so many times. They're just like, I want to, like you did. It's just, I want to arm wrestle somebody.
Very first thing I did in my very first D&D game.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to arm wrestle the strongest fella here.
Yeah, it's a great one. I usually do it as obviously it's straight up, then about here, and then loss.
And then loss, yeah.
So, because it can still go on a long way depending on how the rolls go. Yeah. But it's not so far that it takes too long. That's a good one. Man, I was just thinking of another one. I'm forgetting now.
Just a good old classic. Taking something that's kind of, it kind of takes the chase meter idea, like the typical chase meter idea.
Yeah, we kind of talked about that last week. Did we talk about last week?
Yeah. We talked
like
about
chases kind of in combat but out of combat kind of scenarios, and chases are like that.
Things.
Yeah.
But like the idea of fishing. And that there's a certain goal for you to get, and if he gets past this one, they're lost. But if he gets to that lesson 5, then you've wheeled it in. And then people helping, like coming to grab them and pulling them out, or using a spell or something that can be really fun as well. As everyone can kind of pitch in to try and catch this massive fish. I
do. I think most of the campaigns I've played in or been a part of, fishing came up at some point.
Sure.
Yeah, you're probably going to get near a coast or in a boat at some point, and someone's going to try and fish. It's usually like, here's a survival check to make sure you do everything like you're supposed to, and then maybe a strength check to reel it in, or if they can be more creative, like, I'm going to use an acrobatics and do a backflip and use leverage or something like that.
Yeah.
Great, that sounds awesome. Try that.
I mean, shit, I would want to see that. Just eat backwards.
Wasn't really early in our campaign, someone fished while we were heading out.
Yeah, it was on your guys' way to Kirk Koenig to find the serial killer.
Yeah. Someone fished.
Yeah,
And I think Borla had to like pull him back.
Yeah, he leaned forward like, so he had to pull him in, and then it was a knuckle-headed trout, which are severely like a big bulbous forehead that is extremely hard, and so he ended up taking damage as the thing just knocked him in the head.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah.
Bedlam's actually mentioned a couple of things here.
Yes,
referring to campaign I run for him. He mentioned early on in the chat, and I forgot to bring it up. Pit fighting is another really good side thing because it is still combat, so you can adhere to combat rules.
Yeah.
But you can toss in some interesting aspects to it. Again, side bets are always great.
Yeah.
You can do tournaments if you feel so inclined. Whether or not, and in a lot of situations, actually kind of going back to what you were saying earlier, introducing players to rules. What happens when they go into a bare knuckle boxing situation?
Yeah.
They don't have their weapons. And in some cases, it may be take off all your armor too.
Yeah, I would imagine, sure, yeah.
Right. So what does that look like? And that introduces that mechanic to the players of, well, your natural armor is 10 plus your dexterity. And that's it. Unless your class has something else.
Yeah.
Like Barbarian adds a strength, or Con.
It's Con. Con and dexterity, and then Monk is wisdom and dexterity.
Wisdom and dexterity, that's right.
Yeah.
And those, and that would be if you're a monk or a barbarian, you get a little extra bit of a bump.
You're like, all right, nice. I'm feeling good about it. Yeah, you can still rage, which helps.
And if you have stuff like Tavern Brawler, you have
Grappler,
a lot of extra strength, or Grappler, things like that. Those are those advantages to it. And man, it's another place to encourage the players, and I always try and encourage this, to describe exactly what they're doing in combat.
Yeah.
Because, kicking sand in somebody's face or trying to grapple them into the dirt can do a lot, and that can translate to them maybe trying something a little bit more creative in combat when they're, fully armored and fighting something more intimidating.
Yeah.
But yeah, I used the last thing he said there did kind of a for Bedlam's cleric, kind of a test, a rite of passage, a sort of event where he had to take on a higher up of the temple that he was part of.
Oh shit! So, in a bare knuckle box? Fuck yeah!
Yeah.
That's a religion I joined.
Hey, Stormlord, the Cord is all about that shit.
Alrighty. Fuck you, bud.
I think depictions of Cord or him like wrestling a bear or something.
Shit, that's awesome.
Because why not?
Yeah, if you're gonna pick something.
Yeah. It's pit fighting and even like fighting or boxing events and things. Those are also fun mini games you could do.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Oh man, I know there's something else I'm forgetting
that you're trying to think of as well.
See if I have something open in a tab.
Riding and
yeah, I did. Let's see, I had a list, the carnival games for the festival that my players went to at one point.
Hell yeah.
There's a pie eating contest, there's arm wrestling, there's a sword fight, we did the tarot. If they'd wanted to, a traditional carnival cup toss where they have to like throw a ball into a cup or whatever. Because that one, that's for the dexterity folks.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, no, that's a great way of thinking of coming up with mini games. It's like, how can I test literally all 6 of these?
Yeah.
Good old fashioned musical jam sesh, just
hey man, battle of the bands.
Beautiful. Which once again, outside people can always help.
Yeah. Outside people can help. Riling up the crowd, because you know how some of those. I've been to a event or 70 that, because someone brought the most friends, they won something because the crowd was a little bit louder for them.
There we go.
So maybe a couple of good persuasion rolls, performance rolls, things like that. You get the crowd riled up for someone who didn't quite do as well.
Yeah, exactly that. Get people fangirling. Yeah. So that's always a good idea. I mean, shit, it's just, yeah, it always comes down to 5e being delightfully customizable. Like, it's so
part of the
flexible.
I think that's part of the reason that it's been as successful as it has.
Yeah.
Is how accessible it is and how dynamic it can be. There's things that aren't perfect about it. Like every edition of any type of tabletop role playing game is not 100% perfect.
Of course.
That's why they release things that help, correct things and stuff like that, or trim certain fat or make
new alternatives.
Things, more refined or a different way of going about something. Spells they released that they thought were great but are super broken.
Yeah.
That shit happens all the time, but I think 5e is extremely approachable. I think it encourages storytelling and role-playing, which for some folks is a lot of fun. And in the same respect, you don't have to either. You can play it traditional, just we go into a room, there's goblins, I roll to hit.
Yeah, exactly.
You can still do that with 5e.
I smash.
Yeah, like you said, it's very flexible. You can have a lot of fun with it.
I remember a fun minigame I played for a campaign for once.
Yes.
So it kind of combines minigame / combat together. Mm-hmm. They were investigating. They had several gems that kind of fit into this door inside this room that they had taken over, and each gem kind of takes them to a very kind of different area that's kind of sitting on its own island, floating in kind of lunar space. And the one that they went to was this old kind of like Egyptian themed kind of village that had a massive pyramid. And at the top of the pyramid, there was where the pharaoh of this place used to live, and he used to challenge the god Ra to a chess game every morning before like dawn had come up. And if he won, Ra would give beautiful sunlight to grow his crops and everything else. And if he lost, Ra would be able to take what he wants from everybody else. And then he cheated every morning, but Ra never noticed until Ra did find out, and then he nuked this whole place. It's just a scorched area, and coming into the sort of destroyed, decrepit, like bottom of the pyramid. They walked in and they started to notice that some of the floors looked kind of strange. There was almost like a pattern to some of the things. And then there was a little puzzle. They solved it out. Some riddles. Put this thing on a brazier, it ignites. This thing on a brazier, it ignites, etc. And when they did, the sand sort of like grew around their boots and gripped them tight and sort of moved them into position. And as the sand kind of shook about, they were all now on a chessboard. And so they could, within the first 2 lines, is how they could line themselves up. And then instead of taking traditional turn combat, it just went, all right, you guys are going to go, then I'm going to go. And you guys are going to go, then I'm going to go. And we essentially, they played chess against these giant statues that came up. And so there were moments of like, the one dude is like standing in front of a castle, this giant thing, he's like, ah! And he's just trying to smack this giant castle before it like fucking squashed him. And so they had to like play chess and still use their spells and actions at the same time. But they could only move kind of like a pawn on a chess piece or whatever. And it was just a shit ton of fun. It was really cool combining the 2 games together.
That's awesome.
Yeah. We had fun, those games. I enjoyed them. Yeah.
Oh, I think I remember what I was trying to think of before. And it kind of relates to I mentioned the dinosaur racing before, just racing in general you could do on horseback or a foot race or whatever.
Yeah.
Is actually having, and this is nothing new. It's been in a lot of fantasy and sci-fi TV shows, movies, games, stuff like that. Is betting and in real life, like betting on dogs racing, or you bet on creatures racing, or if you want to make it interesting in a thieves' den of sorts. Maybe there's a version of dog fighting, but it's monstrous creatures. How do the players react to that kind of thing?
Yeah.
Or do they get into it and they're like, well, I'm going to bet on that one because it looks mean and I want to win 10 gold or whatever. So that's a fun one too. You can make it really friendly. They're racing lizards, or you can make it really nasty and they're
cockfighting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That could be a fun one too.
That could.
A good way to tell where all the players land morally.
Yeah. What are they cool with? What are they not? Yeah.
Because I'm gonna take this risk at alienating people and saying dogfighting. I'm not a fan.
Yeah. I think I'm good with no.
Personally, but do those things exist? Yeah, they do.
Yeah, cockatrice fighting. There we go. Well said, Bedlam.
Cockatrice
fighting. That would be
there you go.
Fucking sight. God. That would be awesome.
I've only introduced cockatrice to players, I think, one time, and they avoided them. They just they saw them, but let's not piss them off.
No, 100%. I don't like those things. They terrify me.
Yeah.
This is a scary fucking bird, ass, raptor, fucking magic. Get that thing out of my face. I'm sick of it.
I think they're not terrible. It's just they tend to, and how I presented it to them as well, is there's usually a flock of them, so they tend to have a numbers advantage.
And I don't know. To me, they're terrifying as a concept. Like you have to describe.
Oh, they're creepy. Yeah.
Yeah, fuck it. Cockatrice ass ugly thing.
I'll say it time and time again. Over describe every monster they encounter.
Mm-hmm.
Because it makes it that much more real. It makes it that much more creepy.
Yep.
It's good stuff.
Yeah.
Always over describe, especially if you're not sure what to say. It's like talk about the saliva dripping from its fangs. Just go
exactly. It stands sounds prowling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, Bedlam. They were roosting. So, at the time that y'all entered the room, they were just kind of chilling, roosting up, and you didn't feel like antagonizing him, which, good idea.
Smart move, bro.
That room also had 2 other enemies in it in their own separate sections, too.
There we go.
Yeah.
Noah's Ark.
That had, was it cockatrice? It had hook horrors, and it had gorgons.
Where the fuck were you?
The Doom Vault is the greatest thing ever.
Oh, okay. I was like, what fucked up area did you make up for people to explore?
It is one of the most confusing things I have ever, or probably will ever run, because there's so many mechanics going on, and it's got over 100 rooms in it, but it is so fun.
Oh, God. We need to do it on the channel. We need to play it on the channel.
There's so much. Part of it is just like, even as a DM, I'm having to look back. I have to write down quick notes for myself because of how many different weird things are going on mechanically with this place.
Yeah.
It's fun stuff, though.
Yeah.
Yes, the hook horrors do have a language.
Yeah, that's fucking bizarre.
That is funny how some creatures, they just have a very specific to them language.
Which makes entire sense to me.
Well, there's you speak Undercommon, you speak Dwarvish, Elvish, or they're an animal that has no spoken language, but then there's hook horror language, or these are a little humanoid, but Null is just a language.
Yeah.
It's, I suppose Halfling is too. Anyway.
But the Halfling is like a culture kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's like...
Well, I suppose Elvish and Dwarvish are too, but there's a lot of things that speak those languages that aren't those things.
Yeah, because they have original languages like Sylvan and Netherese and shit like that.
Right, but who speaks hook horror other than a hook horror?
Yeah, it's just, they can communicate with each other. Just... Fucking things are terrifying.
Doom Vault, it's nuts. You could have your characters wandering in that thing for a year.
Jeez.
It's wild. I love it. It's fantastic. I definitely, with my groups, have trimmed a lot of the stuff out of it, just generally speaking,
Yeah.
Yeah, the bard used tongues.
Yeah.
And because they had a spoken language, it worked.
That could work. Yeah.
Yep. I guess
Smart.
theoretically a monk could do it at a certain level because they can understand all spoken languages.
Ah, that's true too.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that would count as a spoken language. They couldn't read hook horror, not that it's a written language. I don't think it is.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Isn't there observant as well? If you spend like a minute watching somebody communicate, you can learn to try and communicate with them. I think the observant feat.
I know Observant lets you. So you can read lips. I think.
Oh wait, I think I'm thinking of
I
that.
wonder, is it linguist? No, I think linguist just gives you 3 new languages.
Yeah, I know actor. You can listen. You can imitate someone perfectly.
Yeah, if you listen for a minute, you can imitate them effectively, or you get advantage on deception checks or something.
Yeah.
And there's something similar in the College of Shadows Bard that can do something like that. But yeah, I don't know about the language itself, though.
Yeah, I was wrong. If you see a creature's mouth while it's speaking a language you understand, you can interpret by what it's saying simply by reading its lips.
Yeah, okay. The lip reading thing that Observant has. Yeah. No, it's Observant's a fun feat and can be very useful if the players use it out of combat.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's really a bad feat out there as long as your characters are creative, the players are creative.
Yeah, exactly that. If you're not messing it up,
yeah.
I think you're
good. I've picked feats for my characters that have not been the best feat they could have picked, but it worked with who they were.
Sure.
You know.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Oh well, shit! This actually got away from me. We're past our hour mark, and it is getting a little late outside. I don't know.
That's true.
Anything that you would like to follow us up on? If there's anyone inside the comments, lost sort of opinions or ideas, please.
If there's anything else anybody wants to say, I think when it comes to mini games and games, just generally, look at real life games and just think, how would I adapt to this? Because that's how most of this crap gets made up.
Yeah, exactly.
You'll look at some people recommend games and mini games online, and it's just, this is a race. This is just blackjack, but you've made it into dice, or craps. That's another one. You could do something where they have to roll D6s and they're going for a 7 or a 12 or something, and then they win. Something fun like that.
Yeah, that's cool.
Just look at real life and see what you could do. What would be fun for you as a group of friends or whatever to play? How do you make that work in D&D?
Exactly.
Like you said, 5e is flexible. You can figure it out.
Yeah, 100%. Just to answer, what kind of shoes would you recommend with those feet? Shut the fuck up, cheeky bastard.
So in D&D, feats are things you can take every couple of levels. Abilities, FEAT. You ever think about using an actual deck of cards for certain random rolls? Yeah. There's actually 2 magical items that utilize real decks of cards. The Deck of Many Things and the Deck of Illusions.
Yeah.
Which I've had as a random option for players before, but they've never actually pulled the Deck of Illusions. And I did present the Deck of Many Things to a group one time, and they knew it was people who played before, and they're like, "No, we don't want it. Nope, fuck you.
Putting it back. I think I'm good. Thank you."
But there's really great things in it. There's just also
great moments.
There's also really bad things in it.
Yep. And on the whole deck of cards thing, I know a DM who uses inspiration as a deck of cards. They draw the top card, and whatever the number is, they can add that to any roll to anyone on the table.
That's kind of neat.
Yeah, which is pretty cool. So you can go for like a picture card and have like a +10, or you can have a 2 and it's a +2. But even then, it's like, a +2 can change shit.
Yeah. I've definitely gotten a bardic inspiration where I missed a save by 1, and all I needed was, I used it. Boop, good. I got the 1.
Go.
So that is interesting though, because that could come in major handy. Getting able to, you pull a face card and suddenly, friggin' +10 inspiration. that could be a lot better than getting an inspiration just re-roll the dice.
Yeah, and I mean that could change some. Knowing you have that in your back pocket, you're like, ooh, maybe we should go rob this place, try to pick that lock, try win. It's got a +10.
And throughout the campaign, do you reshuffle the deck or do you pull it permanently out and see if they keep track and card count?
If you can do that, go for it, bro. For it. You deserve it at that point.
We've pulled all of the 2s, 3s, and 4s. This has got to be good.
Yeah. It's like Joker. There are
some players out that 100%, including myself, would keep track of every single one pulled. I think old Bedlam in the chat, whichever direction that is, probably that way.
Yeah, it's that way.
It's that way. Bedlam would be one of those people that kept track of all the cards too.
There we go.
But yeah, I think if you can find a way of working a regular deck of cards into some fun stuff, shit, why not?
Yeah, 100%.
Have fun with it. If you don't want to figure out how to turn blackjack into dice, grab a damn deck of cards and have the players play blackjack.
100%.
There's no rules against it.
No, of course not. They can just use their stats to help. Done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, Bedlam, you are the keeper of the journal, and it's on Google Docs, which is a DM's best friend because I get to go back and go, all right, what did I miss while I was DMing?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh. Sorry, Dills. None of us are doing that for you.
That's quite all right.
Well, it's okay because we're recording the
sessions. I've got episodes to look back on. That's how I'm like,
what did I say?
What the fuck was their name again?
What accent did I use for that person?
Yeah, exactly. I got Tim Curry, but like which one?
Yeah, I definitely have those NPCs. I'll make a note next to them. I'm like, that doesn't make sense now. Why did I think that would make sense to me later? I said, sort of English.
Sort of English, yeah.
But that wasn't good enough.
No.
Was it deep? Was it
Welsh?
high? Was it? Yeah. Was it from Northern England? Was it Cockney? What the hell did I say?
Yeah. Or maybe does he just not speak English?
Yeah, maybe. That could be.
That could be it. Yeah.
Especially if it's an NPC I had to make up on the spot. I'm just like,
yeah.
This guy's dying off screen.
Oh jeez.
Anyway, yeah, good chat.
Yeah, this flew by, man. Yes, like, thank you, Bedlam and Stormson for helping us out in the chat. I'm seeing a few names walking by you on the screens. So thank you for joining us. If you like what you see, please follow, subscribe. Helps us out a huge bunch.
Yeah.
You guys
Riptide, I see you there, Riptide, even though you're quiet.
Hell yeah, Riptide. Yeah, so thank you guys. I really appreciate it. Go check out all of our stuff as well. We're on Twitter that announces every time we go live as well. So go ahead and follow us on that. It makes life a lot easier. But other than that, look after yourselves. If you love someone, tell them that you love them. And Case, I'll see you this weekend probably.
Yes, I think. I think so.
The Super Bowl, baby.
I zoned out. Did you say we have an episode tomorrow?
Oh yes, correct. Yeah, episode tomorrow.
Yeah.
5 p.m.
Yeah, sorry,
PST,
I completely zoned out for a second.
Right here. Awesome. Yeah, Iceman Dale, Robin the First Man is continuing. Shit's starting to get a little crazy.
It's starting to get crazy.
Yeah. So I'm excited for it. I'm excited to see where this goes. So thank you, everybody. Yeah. Lots of love. Have a good night and sleep well.
Night.